Hi, my name is Tiffie Starchild for Black Nerd Problems, and I waited a very long time to wear this shirt. I am here with the review for the live-action remake of Disney's The Lion King. I'm not gonna say it. No, I'm not gonna say it. The Lion King was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I had a lot of favorites. I was a passionate, precocious child. And I had all types of feelings for Jonathan Taylor Thomas, the original voice of Simba. So Lion King was for real one of my favorite Disney movies. And I'm from the era of the greatest Disney movies. I try to make these reviews spoiler-free for y'all, but it's The Lion King. And you know, if you haven't seen the 1994 animated version, I'm not judging you. That is your business. I went into this movie with huge expectations and I was not disappointed. Now, Circle of Life is a frame-for-frame recreation of the original movie, and I've said before that I don't necessarily want that from these Disney remakes, but I remember sitting there in that movie theater thinking, okay, look, if this is frame for frame like the original and it looks like this, well, that is all right with me. The rest of the movie isn't an exact reproduction, but I need my Disney purists to relax because they don't do anything to change the actual story. They shorten some scenes and lengthen some scenes and fill in some dialogue, you know, close in some of those plot holes that we let slide when we were kids. Some of those changes are with the characters themselves. The most noticeable for me was Mufasa, which is interesting because James Earl Jones is the only cast member from the original movie to make a return for this one and reprise his role. Whatever. And don't get me wrong, he sounds the same. He is Mufasa. But let me take you back to 1994 and young Tiffie's favorite issue of Disney Adventure magazine. I remember that James Earl Jones did an interview, and in it, he described Mufasa as a goofy dad. Okay, Mr. James Earl Jones. So I think if that Mufasa was more of a goofy dad, then for this Mufasa, you definitely feel the weight on his shoulders, being the king of Pride Rock and being responsible for everyone's safety and maintaining this chain and this circle of life. You feel that, and even some of the guilt that he feels regarding the circumstances between him and Scar, who is the ashiest looking lion I have ever seen. No, because he was all sleek and dark in the animated movie, and Disney villains in general tend to be kind of comedic and dramatic, but there is nothing funny about ashiness. And I have never wanted to square up with an animal more in my life. Like, I would put paws on Scar. One of the great things about villains like Scar is that he doesn't have any powers or any supernatural connections, and we already know that Mufasa done whipped that ass all up and down the Pride Lands, so he's not stronger than our protagonist, so he just has to rely on good old-fashioned manipulation, and it works really well, until it doesn't. I'm also really sick of Disney making these villains that I find attractive in one way or another, and for Scar, it's the voice courtesy of Chiwetel Ejiofor, who we know as Mordo from Doctor Strange, and we will get to know as whoever this is in the upcoming Maleficent 2. Timon and Pumbaa, voiced by Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen respectively, were so funny. It was practically their movie. I'm actually ready for Disney to start working on the live-action remake of the Timon and Pumbaa animated series, which was lit, if you remember that, or even Lion King 1.5, which was also a thing. This is one of those areas that Disney changed a lot of the dialogue that we are very familiar with, but I think it was for the better because they're still classic Timon and Pumbaa, and their chemistry and their banter and their timing is amazing. It's just updated. It's more current. The jokes are more fitting for 2019. The Lion King would not be The Lion King without the music, and I actually went into this movie wondering if they would include any of the Broadway songs. They didn't have any Broadway songs, but I was super surprised that they did have tracks by Lebo M, whose Rhythm of the Pride Land CD was released in 1995 after The Lion King came out, and it's amazing. Yes, you should listen to that too. To be perfectly honest, I think the soundtrack is a lot of fun, but it didn't give me the same feeling as the animated version or the Broadway soundtrack. In some areas, it just fell a little bit flat for me. But that beginning of Circle of Life, when the sun is coming up, you know the part. That's exactly right, and I know that some of you guys were concerned. It's good. There are also some nice riffs just sprinkled throughout the film because you know our people. I think that some of the actors can't really sing, so they make some adjustments, and some things that were sung in the original versions are suddenly kind of just spoken and they're more dramatic. It's more of a monologue set to music. The songs are still enjoyable, but it does make me wonder why Disney keeps doing this. Like, why not just go to back in the day when they had a voice actress and they had someone to come in to take care of that singing, and we got the best of two different talent pools. It's definitely a move that Disney has used in the past, like with Pocahontas, whose speaking and singing voices were provided by Irene Bedard and Judy Kuhn respectively, and even my boy Simba, who we know was voiced by the love of my life, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but the vocals were all Jason Weaver. I'm just saying, Disney, it doesn't have to be this way. But other songs are incredible. Can You Feel the Love Tonight is sweet and it's really, really pretty. And I think that Donald Glover did a really good job of letting Beyonce sing that song. Who, really quick, killed it as Nala. I was very interested to see what Beyonce was going to do with this role, and I was pleased. I love this version of Nala. Like the Broadway version, we get to see more of what motivates her and how the events that take place earlier on in the story really affect her, because she's pretty pivotal to the plot. Did I already mention how beautiful this film is? Because the animators snapped. The movie is in CGI, but I have a really hard time believing that they weren't out there just filming animals, just out in nature. So be real, Disney, what's up? That does bring me to kind of a significant criticism that I have about the film, and that's these animal faces are so realistic that they don't read emotion very well. They are adorable, and comedic moments come through, especially with the timing, but for the moments that were emotional and were supposed to have more of an impact, some of that was really lost. And not because the voice actors weren't giving it, but because the faces could only do so much. It's pretty noticeable throughout the entire film, but for me it really wasn't distracting. It was something after the fact that I was like, oh yeah, you know what, some of those moments were a little bit lost. I'm already so connected to this film, I feel that I'm right there in the emotions. Poor Garrett from Black Nerd Problems, we saw the movie together and I'm just thinking, oh my god, he does not know that I'm a crier, and me just sitting next to him trying to maintain some semblance of cool while wiping tears from my eyes, cursing myself for wearing eyelashes. I think that people get so disappointed in these Disney remakes because they expect Disney to go in and recreate everything they felt when they were children, and nothing can really do that. Things come close, and that's why nostalgia is so powerful, but nothing can perfectly replicate that feeling in that moment. I think that's part of what makes them so magical. We are familiar with these characters, we know these stories by heart, and they mean a lot to a lot of us, but we really need to accept that these are retellings of those stories, not replications. And people hold Disney to a really high standard, which they should, but it also causes them to go into these movies super critical, looking for flaws. Before they even see it, they've already prejudged this movie, and we just didn't do that as children. So what I'm saying is, let some of these preconceived ideas go, stop looking for flaws, and allow yourself to just experience this movie when you go see it. This is a new generation of creators that are taking stories that we love and telling them in new ways. And oftentimes they're working right alongside people that were there the original, the first time, that made that magic in the first place. For anyone that's wondering why Disney keeps remaking their animated classics, I would suggest that they go see The Lion King. I think it's one of the best that they've done so far, and it really illustrates this whole idea of taking these stories and telling them in new ways, which I say all the time is exactly what Disney is about. Thank you so much for watching this video. Once again, my name is Tiffie Starchild for Black Nerd Problems. You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Tiffie Starchild. Let me know what you think in the comments. The movie is coming out this week, and I really want to know your opinion. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.